Good morning. I believe we are live. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Good morning. Happy Monday, Tuesday. Happy Monday evening for anybody that's in the US. How we doing? How we doing? Let me just check where things are at. Excellent. Sweet. Morning. Happy Tuesday, all. I am live. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. We are live to the world. Live to the world, but the world is busy. So, how we doing? I'm Ben. I'm going to be doing a bit of streaming today. I've got an agenda for the first time ever on my streaming journey. This is day 4 of streaming ever. So, I've actually put together some more material for the first time ever on what I'm streaming and why and who I'm trying to who I'm intending on talking to. So, let me share my screen and show you. And I'm going to make this a little bit, maybe I'll actually keep this big and then I'll scroll. Cool. I put together a little presentation to talk to who I'm actually trying to teach and why, right? And so the way I see the world is you're either in one of 4 camps on an AI coding journey, right? Most people in the world are going to be either here or here, right? And my goal is to get you further along the journey to actually make a first app with AI. So I wanted to talk through this in a little bit more detail and then jump into my actual use case today. This is supposed to be beginner friendly. And so if there's any questions, please shout out and I will answer whatever is on the mind of the people. Let me just move this around to get it a little bit better. There we go. Cool. So, right. Most people are either haven't used AI before too much because they haven't really come across it, or they've used ChatGPT. Most people in the world, I'd say, have at least used ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or something to ask questions, get answers. They've used it or they've seen other people use it. They've had some exposure, right? But a lot of people are actually just here. Like they've reached the point where you can talk to an AI, you can ask it a question, it can give you an answer. That's it, right? So my mission is to get as many of you as possible in the entire world to go from just having used the chat AI to actually using AI to make something, right? Actually doing an action, making an app, showing you something in a different way. That's my very first agenda. And this is not so that you can build apps and become a developer or anything. This is for the purpose of you just understanding what's possible and being able to get richer output, Have AI make stuff in a way that's nice, easy to consume, easy to use, etc., etc. Now, everybody uses apps. If you've got a phone, you use apps all the time. You use apps for everything under the sun. I remember we had an app economy at one point where people would make apps for this, that, and everything all the time. So everybody's very comfortable with using apps. And then it just seems like there's this massive disconnect with people being able to make apps, right? Apps, no one's going to argue that they're useful. You use them every day to do all sorts of different things. But what if you could make your own to do specific things specific to you? That's what AI actually gives you the promise of, right? So every day we're going to be making an app with AI. And this, if you follow along in like 2 minutes with like my kind of like little daily like example app, you can make an app with AI as well, right? That's the point. Then beyond making an app with AI, I want to show you the power of going a bit further than that and actually making an app, but on your computer where it can do a lot more, right? And I'll show you what that means. But this is actually going a bit beyond building just an app, like just your very first app. This is building an app that you would actually use and grow over time and use for different purposes. So I've got lots of ideas on different things that we can make, and I'll show you exactly how you can do that. But this is kind of like escaping your boundaries and taking it to the next level. And if you've done both of these, even just once, you could do both of these within like 10 minutes, pretty quickly and easily. You'll immediately have a better understanding of AI, what it can do for you, and be able to choose when it makes sense for you to use it, or you could just ignore it from that point forward, right? As long as you kind of understand what's possible, then it's just a tool that you can choose to use or choose not to use, right? But if you have never built one, there's no excuse. Build one, learn it, doesn't take long, and you will be infinitely more knowledgeable about the possibilities in life, right? The possibilities, you'll be infinitely more knowledgeable about the possibilities of AI and what you can do with it. So that's the shtick. We're gonna start. I'm gonna start this by talking about the first box here, right? So you're an everyday person. You spend money on stuff. You save money. You make income. You know, we revolve around a cycle of making and spending money. And often they say it's a good financial behavior to understand how you spend money and track it over time and kind of figure out, are you spending too much on, you know, going out to clubs or whatever. They say that if you actually have a look at your own spending, that can have a difference on the behavior of how you spend. Just being aware of how much money you're putting into different things can often, you know, self-reinforce then you doing it or not. So let's say you're a normal person and you've been able to get some data from your bank on what money, you know, you're using to spend on different stuff, right? But you've only ever used ChatGPT. You know that AI exists, but you're not sure about how you could use AI to help you understand your own data. So I'm going to show you in like just a few minutes the easiest way to get started with that. To do that, I'm going to start with a data set. This isn't my transaction data. This is just an example transaction data set from Kaggle. From this 2 years ago synthetic personal finance data set. I just downloaded this zip and I'm going to use that as an example data set. But let's say you got some data. You got some CSV or Excel data. We are going to build our very first app in Gemini. And to do that, I'm gonna do some really simple activities. One, I'm gonna go into Gemini, gemini.google.com, and we're going to click Canvas mode because that lets our AI actually create a little web app for us, and that's the important part here. Vital step, don't miss that. You need to press, you need to turn on Canvas mode if we're actually going to get to that first step together, right? Then I'm just going to drag my data set into here. And the point of doing this is to give it some context on what data we're looking at so it knows what the right web app to build for analyzing this is. Give me a sec. And then I'm simply going to go in and say, can you please build a web app to analyze this data? That's it. That's all I'm going to tell it. And then we let it go. That was pretty easy, right? For building your very first app, to take you from you've just used Chat AI to you've made your very first ever interactive app with AI, less than a minute, you know? You can do this for free. You just need a Google account. You can do it on your phone. Gemini is the kind of one, the AI I kind of recommend people start with because you can use it from your phone and your browser as well. You can kind of make an app anywhere. You can do this with other AI as well. You can use them to make apps. I find they're not as easily integrated and connected into like the phone experience. So I find Gemini is probably the most accessible for most people, and has some of the most generous free limits. So that's it. We'll watch Gemini do its thing now. This can take 1 to 2 minutes. You let it cook, you let it write code, because it's creating a whole app, simple app, but it's an app specifically for analyzing our data set. We need to give it a little bit of time. just to write the code and to figure out what's going on. You can actually watch this process. You can see it writing a set of code, adding the code as we go down. It's going pretty quickly, and you can see it's adding a set of like web code, so JavaScript code, to parse the data, to load the data set, to go through the different dates and format them, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know code to do this. It is helpful to know roughly what's going on under the hood, and we'll cover that in a little bit too. But what AI is doing is it's not just looking at the data directly and trying to imagine what our data set tells us. It's writing code to give us an app that we can then use to analyze the data. So once we put our data into the app, there's no AI involved at that point. AI is just involved in making the app for us to have a look at our data, right? Why would you want to do this? Well, why do you have data, and why do you want to know anything about data, right? Budgeting and personal finance is a key and very universal kind of data set of understanding money, how it moves, classifying it over time, apportioning it to the right areas, universal. So you'll generally have some data related to finances or money for everyone, right? So in about 3 minutes, we've got a personal finance analyzer built by Gemini. This can be your first ever app. And the cool thing that it has done is it's got a button here for us to actually provide the data set. So you can see we've got, actually you can't see, template downloaded. You can fill this up, out, or re-upload it directly. Export analyzed. We can download a template. We can load a sandbox data set, but that's generating drag and drop. Excellent. All right, cool. I'm going to refresh this. All right, let's start that again. So we've got an app here, and the point of this app is to analyze your personal finance data, which we just gave Gemini. I'm going to click on Browse Computer, and I'm going to go and find the data set that we gave it to begin with, this personal finance data set until 2022. And we can open this up and see it's actually built us a bunch of graphs, a set of metrics, a set of categorical spend breakdowns, and you can see these breakdowns for the different categories within this transaction data. It's got an income and expenses line graph. It's a little bit hard to hover the individual bars, but you can to see the expenses or the income on a particular day. You can see it's already given us a budget safeguards area, a capital accumulation map, which shows that we're not doing a very good job at saving in this synthetic data set. A whole bunch of stuff, including then an actual table breakdown of an interactive transaction ledger. So you can click through and actually see the transactions and look at some of the data. You get nice little categorical badges showing, what category the spend is, with amounts that are nicely formatted. We got all of this in like 3 minutes, right? This didn't require this. You can do this for free. You can do this on any data set that you provide, and you can then start manipulating this dashboard to, give you different insights or ask further questions from this point forward. Like, oh wow, I didn't know I was spending so much on this. Can we get like a nice? Let's do this actually. The revenue and expenses timeline is a bit hard to see, and I would also like to see my like a timeline of my expenses on different categories over time. Can you add those graphs? And so we can easily then do a follow-up in Gemini, and it can go and add things into our chart, right? Super easy to do. It's super easy to start with this. It's super easy to modify it, and it's totally personalized to whatever you want to do. Another thing that you might have data on that you might care about getting more detail in is health data. If you have, like an Apple Watch or a Google Watch, you can export, metrics on like a tracked activity. Like if you go for a run, you can actually export the data around your heartbeat over every minute, and you could analyze how your, running form is, or get personalized AI tips around it, or just see more graphs than what you would get in the apps by default. You can create your own personal health dashboard or fitness hub, right? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what you can use this for, but the sky's the limit. If you've got a data set, use AI to help you tear it apart and go deeper into it. It's really fast, it's fun, it's visual, and it doesn't take long or any money to get started with this if you're just going to use Gemini, right? I'm going to wait until we get a little bit more detail on our personal finance analyzer, interactive revenue and expenses toggle. Awesome. So it's adding some more controls for our graph. I'm going to get our file ready so that we can just drag and drop it into the UI. Again, because it has to go and regenerate the code, it can take a little bit to do this every time. That's the kind of limitation of doing this in the web browser. You can do a bunch of stuff very quickly, but if you wanted to do a lot more advanced operations or really start, going back and forth and asking it for changes and making small modifications here and there, this is a good case for you going a little bit further than just the web app and going into a desktop app. So the limitations you'll hit in here motivate the next step, going from I made an app with AI in ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude to I've used my very first desktop app, ChatGPT Desktop or Google Anti-Gravity or Claude Desktop, and I've made, I can start like actually building this properly and iterating it locally. I'll let this finish so that I can talk to that. I'm going to move this maybe to the right for beginners. There we go. Sweet. Now, importantly, if you gave it data and asked it to make an app without canvas mode on, it's not going to make a web app. It might write some code or give you some other... it might give you some other... So it might give you some code or it might give you some other way of showing data, but it might not give you an actual web app and give you this like visual overview, right? So... I'm going to drag and drop this personal finance data set. So we've made some changes. We asked it to give us make the revenue and expenses timeline a bit easier to see in this first vibe coded app that we've made. And we're gonna drag and drop our 2022 data set there. And then we see it's loaded all 800 transactions and it's given us a new kind of like finance dashboard. We can click line view and you can kind of see a bit of a different view to the bar chart that we had before. It's still a bit hard to see. This is where you might want to go back and forth and get it to make some more changes so that it's a bit more understandable. You can see we've got a category expenses timeline, and this is the main one that we actually wanted to ask for. So we've got rent, travel, shopping, utilities, entertainment, and other categories. This is good, except that it's a bit hard to see at this point. We might want to, like, rather than looking at per day, look at maybe like per week spend, because it's quite a long time. This is a data set that covers 2020 until 2022, I think. Wow. The date formatting is a little bit weird too. It ends at a 2. So there are issues with this, of course. But there's enough to get started here to give you ideas on what you might want to do or might want to take further. Kappa HD. Hi, Mers. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I'm doing my little morning stream just for an hour or so. Hey, I've got an agenda today. Look at this. This is the first time that I've been organized enough to have a little actual agenda. So we're doing this. We're doing a little data analysis with Gemini to start with, and then we'll go into doing the same thing with Codex. Cool. All right, back to here. Cool. So basically we turned on Canvas and Gemini. We gave it a CSV and we said build a web app to analyze this data. That's all we did, and we got this little finance data analyzer. This isn't my finance because, I feel like sharing my personal finances on stream that's one kind of that's one kind of move to make, I guess. This is just from Kaggle. But you know, we got something pretty quickly that looks pretty nice. It's got some nice graphs. It's got some nice bar charts. We've got some nice breakdowns of different kind of categories here and how much we're spending on it. Smart financial insight. It's got all sorts of cool things here, right? Didn't realize Gemini could pull this off. Yes, Gemini is surprisingly good. So the canvas mode is awesome to just do like concepts of things and start like an app idea. And then you might take the code from this because you can just go and pull the code out from the background. And you can then like keep working on it with like Claude locally, right? The important thing here is this web app lets you like drag and drop data. And so even cooler than just having a web app, you can actually then reuse this web app. Let's say that you got some more data that had the same format. I can use that data. So I can say, that data was from 2022. I want to use my data from up to 2025 and look at my more recent spend trends. You can then open that file up as well. And then you get like a different analytical breakdown of it. So it's really quick, really fast, and you can use some cool stuff. Claude Design. I haven't used this yet. I wanted to actually like use Claude Design for the first time on stream because I've heard about it. I see the marketing, but I've never actually got hands-on with it. That goes into, let's add that into I need a stream ideas backlog. I had one in text, but I want to add one properly. Claude Design review. Haven't used it yet though, but I want to. Okay, so for 3 minutes, this is really good. This is really a good start, right? A financial data set analyzer. Got some things that are a little bit like, we might want to like work on it. And so if you do want to go back and forth and spend more time building an app, this is a good motivation for actually taking it to the next level. So if you had only ever used Chat AI and you've followed along and made a little app in Gemini, you are now in box 3. You've made your first app with AI. Phenomenal. And hopefully you've seen something that's like relevant to you and motivates you to do the next step, which is try it out on a desktop app. There's a lot of fake news around ways to do this. This has kind of been the year that a lot of these desktop apps have actually been made and started maturing. And I think they're the easiest ways for most people to actually get started with using AI themselves, because they don't have to do a lot of like local setup of like coding agents or anything like that, but it gives you the same capabilities. So highly recommend one of these to then, if you've never actually like made AI in a desktop app, like start using these, right? What I was getting frustrated with was trying to get the mock-up changes into my existing repo. It's good to prototype, but then what? Yes. So this is around Gemini, Mr. Mers. You've got the mock-up changes for an app, and you've got an existing repo, and then you want to take inspiration from the mock-up changes and then apply them to something you had existing, right? So this is when you're already deep in here and you're looking at like ways to then go between the two, right? Let's do both of those things. I actually want to tackle that as a specific use case, but I might do it after I do the initial one. So Codex, how to pull changes in from another app. Cool. So here's my little Google Keep for what we're doing today. And I'm going to attribute this to Mers. Mers on stream. Mers on Twitch. Mers99. So young. Such a young man. All right, cool. Cool. We got an app pretty quickly with Gemini. Let's do the next step. Let's take it one step further. Limitations in Gemini is that you're not going to be able to iterate it as easily. You're not going to be able to make small, subtle changes. And it inherently, it's not going to be able to do as much in terms of building an app. So if you wanted to add more features or take it even further, you're going to run into limitations trying to do this within like the web app here. So we're going to take it a step further. And for this one, we're going to say Google ChatGPT download. And you can go and download the ChatGPT for desktop app. Highly recommend right now. especially like right now, like this week after GPT 5.6 was released, this is probably one of the highest quality plus reasonable cost apps on the market. I think you might be able to try it out for free, but otherwise you would download it, run the installer, and you're going to get an app that looks like this, right? ChatGPT right now in 2026 has 2 modes, one for work, one for Codex. I've never used the work one, so we're going to go with Codex for now. Because we're using code to make a web app for this kind of like data analysis web app, Codex is going to be probably the better one to use because it's going to be able to write the same kind of code that we were using in Gemini. Let's turn this off for now too. There we go. I keep on turning on my AI tracking mode, which I don't want right now. So let me just put this, there we go. Cool. So in Codex, I'm actually going to do the same thing that we did with Gemini. We're going to create a completely brand new web app and see how Codex does it. So we're going to give it the CSV. I'm going to go, I don't have to turn on canvas mode or anything like I did in Gemini. In Codex, I am just going to tell it the same thing we said before. I'm going to tell Codex, can you please build a web app to analyze this data? That's it. And then we're going to let it think. Web app is important here. If you just told Codex to analyze this data on its own, it might just respond with some text and say, hey, I analyzed the data. Here's what I found, which is a totally fine way of using GPT and Codex. But the web app gives us a visual output, something to look at, something to click around on, some charts. And if you've got data, you'd much prefer to look at pretty graphs than to look at like the raw values, right? At least I would. Hi, Food Enzy. How you doing? Seems good. Welcome to the stream. Oh, we got another one. Barbarian. Like Targaryen. Welcome to the stream. Hi. Welcome, chatters. First time chatters are always welcome. So, oh man, I didn't change my stream. Oh man, I didn't change my Twitch stream channel. Oh, did I? Oh, interesting. I wonder if I can change it live. Can I change my? I'm not doing. There we go. Okay, I changed my stream title on Twitch. Excellent. We're doing data analysis today. Welcome to our stream today. We're doing data analysis with Codex and just in general with AI and doing like super basic stuff, right? Like beginner friendly. How do you get started with AI content today? I want to take you from. Where do I want to take you from? I want to take you from here, never used AI, through you've used chat, you've made an app with AI, and finally you've used it in a desktop app. Once you're at this point, then you're basically just figuring out how to get better with using AI in desktop apps, which if you're already at that point, I'm quite happy. I'm more concerned about the vast amounts of people in our lives that have never touched AI and aren't aware of what it can do, and I prefer them to go and play with it first. And so if that's you, if you've never made an AI app in a desktop app, just do one. Just do one to see what it's capable of, and then you've ticked that box, and then I'm happy, and then we can talk about the more advanced stuff, right? That's the mission. That's what we want everyone to do. So the real question is, what number are you? Are you a 1, 2, 3, or 4? Huh, chat? Where do you fall? I want numbers. I want to know your number. I think I'm a 2, still new. Excellent. Good. Sweet. Well, maybe I'll just go and redo this then. So I was talking about Gemini. Gemini, I really like if you're a 2 because it's free and you can kind of do it on your phone. So even if you're like sitting on a train or at work or whatever, you can just go to the website or use the Gemini app on your phone, and you can kind of do this at home without having to pay anything or, like wait too long or install or set up anything. You can just do it right now, right? And the main trick is this button here. This button here, canvas. You got to turn on canvas mode to actually get the magic. But once you turn on canvas mode, you can ask it to make any app in your imagination, and it will, right? And so today's example, I was using a file. So like let's say you had a little CSV download of your personal finances from your bank or whatever, and you kind of want to get some insight into it and like break it up and do some budgeting or some nonsense like that. Finance is just a common one because everybody spends money and generally people are somewhat concerned in how they spend it. You just turn on Canvas, you give it a CSV, and then you tell it, make me a web app to analyze this data. That's it. And then you let it cook for 2 minutes, and you will already be number 3. That's it. That's the mission statement. So the cool thing about Gemini is that it can, and especially why I choose Gemini is because on your phone it can do this, and then you can actually see an app on your like phone yourself, right? And then you don't have to have a computer, you don't have to have any setup, you can do it for free. It's got pretty generous free limits. It's the smoothest. GPT can create like HTML pages and web apps as well, but it's not as integrated, I've found. Claude, I've been a little bit more disappointed with. Gemini, it's just a bit smoother. It's not necessarily the smartest AI, but it's the best at making these kind of like first cut apps just to show you what's possible. And then you can go and like start doing the next step, right? So twos are what I like. This is for you, like specifically. In the background, it's writing code. We made one before, but it's better to just like watch this make it in front of us. You don't need to worry about any of the code. The point is not about writing code. It's that AI knows how to write code so that you don't have to. You just want the output of that, which is some personalized app that you can play with, that you can mess with to see what's possible and to help you do tasks, right? Last time I streamed, I did a PowerPoint presentation. I was like, make me a PowerPoint presentation. You can use this for like games. You can be like, make me a little like platformer game. You can kind of use Gemini to get a pretty good start point across anything you can imagine, which is sick. So this is like okay, what if I have a data set? What if you did have a data set? You could do this. But if you don't, just tell it to make something else, right? And then tell me what you made, because I want to know too. I want to know what pops into mind as like a first good test case. Cool. And so then, what was that, 2 minutes? I wasn't talking for too long. We get a web app, and the web app for the data, the way that it basically works is you drag and drop your file here, or you click this and you go and choose the data file, and then that gets loaded into the web app. And this gives us a little mapping wizard thing. It seems okay for now, I guess. Type, amount, category, transaction description, sure. We'll say, yep, go ahead and do that. And then it fails. And this is the other thing that can happen with these apps. They're powerful, but they're also like finicky. Well, no, not finicky, but like they can have issues. So if it did fail, I'd say it didn't load any data. I don't have an account column. When it was trying to load the columns, I saw that it was like expecting a column had like an account type or that kind of like a column. We don't have that in this data. This data is an example data set. These are not my finances, as you'll see from the like not real transaction descriptions. But you can see we've only got like 5 columns: date, transaction description, category, amount, and type. This is just synthetic data from a website called Kaggle. Looks like this. So I just downloaded this so that I wasn't, sharing with you all of my deep and dark finance secrets. All right. If something does go wrong, or if you do want to change your app, or like you wanted to add a feature to your game, if that's what you started with, you just talk to it. You just say, hey, change this as well. And then you wait another minute or two. It writes some more code. It goes through to try and fix the things that you've called out. And then ideally it works. And you've got something that is by you, for you, and is basically usable. And then you can customize as much as you want. But doing this moves you from a 2 to a 3. And then you're ready to go from a 3 to a 4, which is the next piece of fun. Processing actual CSV row parsing loops. The cool thing is that it has to do quite a lot to make this work. Like it's making a little website that has to understand what your data looks like and be able to load it and then be able to like show it in different kinds of graphs. So it's doing a fair bit here in one go, right? The fact that you can get this and it works at all, fingers crossed, is pretty impressive about where AI is at here in 2026. This was not possible this time last year. The stuff that I'm showing is like AI just got real good at writing code within the year. Outputting paginated transaction log grid, man, it's doing a lot. It's really thinking. All right, I think it's done. Let's try it one more time. Drag and drop your file here until 22. We'll load that. Oh, I ran into another issue. All right. The other nice thing about Gemini is if something does go wrong in the code, it has a nice little fix error button. You can just click that and let it spin for a bit longer. But I will show you this one that I built before that actually did work on the same data, where we can choose the data set, it puts it into the web app, and then we get nice little graphs that break down the things like what the amount on salary is, entertainment, utilities, shopping. It seems very even. This doesn't seem supernatural in terms of categories, which makes sense because it's not natural. You get a category expenses timeline. We get little budget safeguards. We see how much money we're like just hemorrhaging in this data set and losing on all sorts of things. Just in the last like 2 years in this data set, we've lost 350K. Terrible. And you even get like a little table to click through to see the different transactions, which is sortable. You can search for things. Not that there's anything useful in the search for this. You can put date ranges on it. And it's, again, given us all of this within a few minutes in this one that actually worked. Again, mileage may vary depending on how complex the thing that you tell it to build is. But it did build this and it worked first time in the other Gemini that I ran. So assuming you've done that, you're not a 2 anymore, you're a 3. You've made an app with AI. Doesn't have to be a good app, but you made one. You've seen what's kind of possible. The next step is, if you're doing it in the web app, it's not going to be very like detailed or powerful. And this is why we go into ChatGPT, the app, which you can just download from here. You just go to chatgpt.com/download, and then you install that, and then you've got the ChatGPT app. And in Codex, I gave it the same problem. I said, can you please build a web app to analyze this data? We gave it the data, and it is building us a website on the right. Now, the ChatGPT desktop app is great because it can run code and can do things and it can connect to stuff. I don't want to talk about like why running code is actually very powerful later. But you can see it's not only building a web app, but it's taking it the next step further in ChatGPT and it's publishing it. Not to the whole internet, but it's putting it on a site where you could share it if you wanted to. And that's pretty cool, right? Or at least you can give yourself the link and come back to it in future on your phone or on a different computer. And then you just need to sign in with your own ChatGPT account to see it. And that's pretty useful. So I'm going to open this site that ChatGPT has just made for our data and published, and we'll see if it works a little bit better than Gemini did. I'm hoping it will. I'm badly hoping it will. But it's come up and it said, reading your ledger, outflows exceeded income by 330K, and we get this quite pretty looking website that gives us a personal income analysis dashboard, right? This is looking a lot better than our Gemini one did, which makes sense because we used the latest GPT 5.6, which is very smart, and we did it in like a proper like local desktop app, so it has more capabilities to do this stuff. But this is, again, what we get for, 3 minutes. I think you can try this out for free, maybe not with the like smartest model, but you can do this super, super quickly without having any knowledge of coding, and you get like a full-on personal website that helps you analyze your own finances, right? This goes back to 2020. It's got our income versus outflow per week, I think this is. It's got a breakdown of the different categories where the money moved. I can click on each category and filter the transactions to see what kind of transactions were included in that category. Then I can unfilter it and show all. 91 salary records are marked as expenses. The dashboard reports the file as supplied, so net cash flow may look lower than expected. Then you can have a look at these salary expenses. So the interesting thing is your salary doesn't seem to be going into your account, it's going out. So that looks like a bug, which GPT was able to find. Then you can kind of get these breakdowns. Pretty good, honestly. And so we gave it the exact same kind of instructions as what took to move you from a 2 to a 3. But because we did it in ChatGPT desktop, that takes you all the way to a 4, and you can kind of see why, right? You get something that's a lot more powerful. Now, what this doesn't seem to let me do easily right now is upload a new data set, right? So this is great, 800 records on January 2020 to December 2022, but I can't drag and drop a new data set. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're happy with this to just have like the kind of summary view. But let's say you got some new data and you want to show it in this web app as well. One kind of way of doing it is you can just take the file and you can drag and drop it into GPT, and we can say, hey, we've got some more transactions that take us all the way up to the end of 2025, I think. Can you add these to dashboard as well? Dashboard as well. And then it could add those as well, right? Or maybe you don't want this web app to already have the data. So just like with Gemini, where it doesn't have the data included or anything, maybe you want to be able to like drag and drop the files whenever you get them into a web app and then see the dashboard after that too. That's fine. You just tell GPT that's what you want to do. It'll make the changes, and then you'll have a website that you can drag and drop the data on, and then it will do the analysis after you've dragged and dropped the data, right? Pretty powerful. It's not going to work beyond a certain number of like rows. Like you got millions of rows. That might be a bit too much for your like web browser to handle on its own, in which case you might want to be a bit more advanced. But if you're trying to deal with like millions of rows of data, it's probably worth you learning how to like deal with data of that magnitude anyway. And that we just need to go a bit deeper technically in what to do in those circumstances. But yeah, no, if you've got like a couple of thousand rows, just do this. Just tell GPT or Gemini to make a little web app to analyze it, and then go to town, right? That's the play. That's the plan. That's what we're doing. That's what we're here for. Let's see how ChatGPT Codex went with our little data analysis, adding extra rows. Cool thing is, what you're seeing in the local coding app is the power of it being on your computer is it gets to run commands to understand more about what you're asking it to do. So it can go and gather more context and can go and take more actions, right? It's running commands, like it's having a look at the, where the data sits, where it comes from. It has a look at like what's in it. So it does a little bit of analysis on the rows and, how many kind of like different categories we have. And so your GPT on your desktop can like run stuff to figure out what the state of play is before it goes and like makes changes to an app, right? That's pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Clarifying image generation post-processing. I'm also refreshing the site's link preview card so shared links reflect the expanded 5-year view. Cool. It also picked up on something that even though I said it was a 2025, like up to 2025, it said, actually that only goes up to December 2024. So I'm not going to mistakenly put the wrong year in your dashboard. I'm only going to take it up to 2024. So cool. So cool this stuff is. Any questions, by the way, about like apps or what you could do with them or why you would want to do with them? Because I think this tech's really cool, but like I want it to solve a problem for you, right? Like if it's not doing something you're actually interested in, it's not going to be worth it. So like data is interesting to some people if that's all they deal with. And if you've never if you don't look at data at all, or you don't have any data for like your own life stuff, it's not going to be interesting to you. So the more important question is like, what is interesting to you? What would you actually use AI to like make? Whether that's games or, kind of like organizing research or presenting stuff at work or anything else. Like what is of interest? while I let it think about updating layouts and doing things. Maybe more to the point, what have you already used AI for? That's more like an interesting question. Like, what's your typical use case of using AI, if at all? Depending on your life state, maybe it's study, or it's research, like looking things up, shopping, buying stuff. I use it all the time. I'm like, should I buy this? Is this a good idea? Is this like the good thing to buy? What's the best in the market? Blah, 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 blah. Like that kind of stuff. I might make some of them. I might make a note of this. I think one of the cool things to do is like, let's say that you've got like a camera, but it's like a bit out of date, and you're trying to figure out, is it worth upgrading to a new kind of camera? I find it helpful to like use AI to pull together like a bit of a timeline about how cameras have like evolved or whatever, and whether it's worth upgrading between like a generation and this generation, or understanding what I get. So let me pop that in my little stream ideas. Researching for a tech upgrade. I think that's a nice little use case as well. GPT is taking a little bit longer to do this, maybe because I've got it on extra high mode, so it's like thinking more. While it's doing that, I might just do a Google, because I think ChatGPT desktop free usage quota limit. Free tier usage on the desktop app, limited access to models like this, does not publish that, typically cap around 10 messages every 5 hours. Do they have like an actual... Free tier users can now search the web, analyze and extract insights, discover news, create images. I feel like this is more in the... This is just the ChatGPT, not ChatGPT desktop. I want to know if you can use the ChatGPT desktop for free, because that I'd recommend that every time if you can. And you know, practice what you preach. Hey, can you do a bit of research to figure out if you can use the ChatGPT desktop app for free without having to pay for like a subscription plan? Like, can you try it out for free? Now, the main thing apart from getting an answer directly, manual data manipulation, generating SQL, extracting or summarizing transcripts, how to do something in software. Hell yeah. That's the kind of work that we're here for. Manual data manipulation is super powerful. Just being able to like take a data set and like mess with it. Especially like, I find the analytics process is dictated in terms of how quickly you can ask a question and get an answer to it. Like, I think it's going to be useful to like left join this table to that table, but I don't know if there's any missing records. And so you really quickly want like an answer on coverage from one table to another one. And so you want to try something and then see if it actually like gave you a good answer. If you're dealing with big data sets and manipulating that data is more about like getting the query to run at scale, this is where web apps are not necessarily going to be the most useful bit for changing the data to begin with. But I then think it's useful at the end once you've got your data set to like tear it apart and figure out what's in it, even on a sample, right? Like you got a huge data set, just sample it down to like a couple of thousand rows, and then be like, GPT, make me like an analysis page on this to tear it apart and give me some insight on it. Then you can kind of get a good feel for if that data set makes sense or not. Looking at data raw is not very helpful. Looking at data at scale and with graphs and with colors, that's the whole point of like having charts and things like this, right? Generating SQL, absolutely. The good thing is with especially if you've got like Claude Code or Codex or something local at work, is you can write code, run that code, then run something to test if you got the right output, and then it can like repeat that loop, right? So it could write SQL, run it, and then you could say, I want to make sure that I have the same number of rows output that I got input. And then it could just run the SQL, get the result data set, check that the input and output of the result data set to what you started with is as you expect. And then if something's wrong, explore, loop, run some stuff to figure out what's going on. Awesome. Comparisons between products, optimizing decks by finding cards for finding cards for redundancy. Oh, it's like optimizing like card decks, like Magic the Gathering or like Pokemon trading cards, like that kind of thing. That's a cool use case. I see. Maybe I'll do a little play with that. I think Codex is done with. It said it's finished updating our dashboard with the 1,500 transactions. So if I give it a refresh, we get the same dashboard. Hasn't made too many changes because we haven't asked it to make too many changes in terms of color scheme or anything, but we get a little data analysis dashboard. And again, we waited a bit longer for GPT to finish that. 11:26 so that worked for 7 minutes there. But super high quality, very pretty. And as a site, what can you do? What can I do? How can I do it? In the GPT app, you can see that you've got like a set of sites. If you click on sites on the left in ChatGPT Codex, you have these little published sites. And you can see who they're shared with and how they're shared. So for previous sites where I have decided to share it with everyone, I've got a little everyone badge. For other sites, it just shows only you. So this one that we've published is a site, but it's still locked down to just us. We could choose to share it like broader, anyone on the internet. And then I could drop a link into chat for it, which I can do now. Let's publish this. And then it's shareable. Or I could leave it here, but I could still access that site later. Like if I had a little site that was tracking something useful for me, I can share it and visit that link myself on my phone at a later point in time, and then don't have to worry about the security implications of it, of everyone seeing it. But that's the little margin personal finance atlas site we just built. You can click on it. You could have a look. It is easily accessible for all. But that's what building an app looks like. I want to lean in. I want to actually spend some time and have a look at optimizing decks. What kind of cards? Like if I don't know much about like Magic the Gathering, I know more about Pokemon. But let's say optimizing card decks by funding cards. Commander Magic. All right. Tell me more about optimizing card decks by finding cards for redundancy for Commander Magic. And I'm going to actually set this down to high and then turn it on fast mode so that we don't have to wait as long. And check usage. I should have heaps left. So, given that I'm not familiar with card games or Commander Magic, I'm going to do a little bit of research first in ChatGPT, and then we'll turn that into something that's a little bit more fun with an actual app. Redundancy means playing several cards that perform the same essential job. Format is singleton. Redundancy says you make a 100 card deck consistently execute its plan. An elf deck might run elves, elvish mystic, findhorn, elves, different cards, but functionally they're extra copies of the same effect, a 1-mana creature that accelerates your mana. Cool, makes sense. Divide the deck into jobs such as mana acceleration, card advantage, removal, and protection. Then give important jobs multiple interchangeable cards. Cool. So rough start point, essential early effect, 8 to 12 cards. Important engine component, 5 to 8 cards. Narrow situational effect, 1 to 3. So if I said, can you build an app that like a web app and also do some research on the best prices where I can like find and buy these cards from, to build a effective starter deck with plenty of redundancy. So I'm going to need to go and buy a set of cards that tick the right boxes, but I want to have an app that can help me easily like capture research, accelerate research, and keep me on top of what the best deals are for these cards. Let's see what you can do. So I'm imagining something where it's like consolidating what your where the places that you would actually look for like buying these cards are, and then tracking prices and like availability. So yeah, we'll find out what it produces. But I'm imagining, in case you bought like a lot of cards on eBay, something that could help easily like run a search on eBay or consolidate results for things that are currently listed on eBay or are coming up, and the prices, and then compare those across sites. And so at any point in time, you could say, hey, I want to get a, like one of these 1 mana cards. Like a 1 mana creature card, right? I need 1 mana creature cards that accelerate mana. I don't really mind what I get, so I just need to keep an eye on the state of the market, what's available, good price points, and then I want to buy as many of these as possible to build a particular like deck, right? I would use a site to consolidate the research, the knowledge about this, what you're trying to do, and then use kind of Codex to kind of like go and update or, update or feed into it or optimize this directly, and then use this as your research hub. So you'd actually use an app to like centralize this activity, right? And I do this all the time with like personal stuff. So like yesterday I was building one to get more into like cardio stuff, because I'm like, man, I should do a bit more cardio. My like running is not great at the moment. And so I was building like a bit of a center to do planning and to organize like my cardio data and to figure out like how hard I should push, how often I should do it, and build myself like a bit of like a cardio training plan. Because that's what I'm looking at the moment. But if you're looking more at trading card stuff, build apps around that, right? You build it to aid whatever the hell you're doing in any way possible. That's the magic. You can tell I'm not telling it much. Like I don't know a whole lot about this field, but we'll see if it gives you something which is actually useful. You tell me though. You tell me if this is something that you would use after it builds it. Using site skill, this is best delivered as a working research dashboard, not just a deck list. I'll build it around an affordable, redundancy-heavy commander starter, add live card price research and vendor links, and make the research/deal tracking persist in the browser. The app is taking shape around a practical first use case, a budget Simic landfall deck by Tatiova. It's beginner-friendly, reward sound sequencing, and has unusually clear redundancy packages, ramp, extra land drops, landfall payoffs, protection and recovery, so the app can explain why every purchase earns its slot. Cool. It's now doing some design. It's using a skill for that. Interestingly for this stuff, I've noticed this using ChatGPT. It tends to actually generate an image with a skill. So it uses the skill and it uses ChatGPT's image and model, and it builds just like an AI generated image, and it uses that for inspiration on the color scheme to build the website, right? So rather than just like building the website directly, it says, well, imagine what an image around this particular thing would look like. And then the image generates it with colors and branding, kind of like does all of this stuff in one shot. And then it uses that for the color palette and inspiration, and to actually then build the UI. I find that really interesting. This is not something that I was like encountering much before using Claude Code in the CLI. So it's interesting to see it happen like in ChatGPT, the desktop app. Deck lens, build the plan, track the price, 78% coverage. So that's our inspiration for our deck tracker. Let's see what it can make. Oh, wait, did I just close? Ah, crap, I just closed it. Is it still going? I think it's still going. Yeah, it's still going. So I think at this point it might be like generating code for our little deck lens website. We'll see what it ends up with. If you've tried this in the past but haven't tried it recently, one of the things I'm going to talk about shortly is how good GPT just got. Like last week. They just did a new release of ChatGPT 5.6, OpenAI, and it's good. It's really good. Especially it has come a long way in being able to make web apps that are pretty and useful, which it was able to make web apps that were maybe useful, but not pretty, look terrible before. After this kind of like update last week, it's actually like web apps work well, they look good. Like this is a very smart model, 5.6 Sol. So this kind of reality of being able to build personalized apps for different purposes is like becoming a reality very quickly. Now you can see it's finished writing code. It's written a couple of different files to make our app, some page apps, some route apps, etc., etc. You don't need to worry about the code itself, not right now anyway, because we're experimenting. If you wanted to like go into like an app development job, you might want to get a bit deeper into it. And I'll do some beginner content just after this in terms of like what it's actually doing and why it matters. But like we don't worry about the code right now. It's not about the code. It's about what it makes. So AI does the code. You don't worry about the code. You worry about the output, and then you look at that and you say, is this useful? Do I like it? Do I want anything different? How do I do that? Right? That's what our mission is. It seems to still be going with the code at the moment. It's still cooking. Implementing deck state and market data handling. I'm going to read some of the code just to see some of the things it's included. It's included Scryfall. Oh, it's got an API around this deck building thing. That's cool. Hey, if it's got an API and it can like get data from that API, that's useful. API.frankfurter.app latest USD to AUD. I guess this is for like exchange rates because I'm in Australia and so it's going to be doing USD to AUD. Oh, cool. So that can like pull I don't know if you can see that. That can pull live exchange rates on any particular day. So it can get the AUD to USD exchange rate from yesterday. That's cool. So it's doing exchange rates on the fly. That's helpful as an Australian. What else is it doing? It's got a page that's talking about the role of cards. So it's got commander, lands, ramp, extra lands, payoffs, interaction, protection, recovery, draw. Nice. Core, strong, or flex priorities. It's got some types around deck cards. So the name, quantity, role, priority, and why. Market card. So it's got like a little type representing representing the app on the market. Where it comes from. Offers, store price, shipping URL, Tatiova Forest. Oh, cool. You can see what it's probably going to have, but presented in a nicer way in our little web app once it loads up. Tatiova, Benthic Druid, Name Forest, Island, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Myriad Landscape, Simic Growth Chamber. None of these mean anything to me, but I'm hoping they mean something to you. Working version is complete, full 100 card list, roll by roll redundancy audit, live USD to AUD market guidance, ownership tracking, deal logging with postage, stale, offer flags, notes, CSV export. This has, I mean, it's adjusted for the Australian market, which is helpful for me. But it looks like it's built a lot into this as a first go. And it looks like it's getting closer to being done. Your site is ready. I verified that all 73 unique card names resolved. So this is the other good thing. It verifies that stuff works as it goes too. It's like, oh, cool. I've made these changes. I've hallucinated some card names, but I've actually verified that they're real as well. So it's, there's method behind the madness. Including the double-faced recovery card, and that live price conversion is returning current AUD values. I'm publishing it privately now. So it's doing a create site action now. It's creating us another little website in our sites list. Let me check if this is free, by the way. How did this go? You can download the ChatGPT desktop app without paying for a subscription. Has a permanent free plan. Free accounts receive limited desktop features. Download it, open it and sign in, remain on the free plan. You do not need to subscribe to Plus or Pro. Okay, so I believe you can use the desktop app for free. What are the quota limits on the free plan on ChatGPT free? So, I mean, if you can try it out for free, then you've got no excuse to try it, right? Yeah, you got no excuse not to try it. May as well give it a go, you know? Give it a go, test it out for mileage, come back and let me know how it goes. That's like, you know, I mean, it's free, right? What are we doing now? I think it's still using Wrangler. Interesting. I think it's still updating this as a site that it's deploying. So we should see it pop up in our little sites list soon. There we go. Deck lens, only me. Can I open it yet? Can I open it? All right, are you ready? This is for you, barbarian. Let's have a look. Oh wait, I can't click it yet. Oh no, it's not finished. All right, well, you know. Wait, just one moment longer. I mean, cross your fingers and toes. Let's hope it's good. Let's hope it's not trash. I'm excited. But yeah, I'm only going to be able to do like a surface evaluation on if this is any good, given I'm like not familiar with this game. In the meantime, maybe I'll become more familiar. What is this? Commander Magic. Commander Magic. EDH, Elden Dragon, Highlander, Magic the Gathering's most popular casual multiplayer format. Oh, I see. 100 cards, only one copy of any non-basic land card. Legendary creature, a specific planeswalker that dictates the color identity. Every deck in your card must only contain the mana symbols that appear in your commander's casting cost and rules text. Ooh. So there's different mana color cards, and that defines the identity of your deck. I see. If your commander dies, you can return it to the command zone. Commander damage. If an opponent's commander deals 21 or more combat damage to you over the course of the game, you lose. I see. So that can be the second thing that we make. But, all right. It's done. We can have a look at it now. Let's have a look. It's also given us some information after it finished. But, all right, ChatGPT, show us what you can do. Deck lens, commander research, AI engineering. Let's see what it's made. Build the plan, track the price, a complete redundancy first Tatty Over landfall deck with live market references. Awesome. Tatty Over, Benthic Druid. How it plays, ramp, draw, flood the board. So, every essential job has backups. It's looking very similar from a design perspective to what our data analysis app looked like. Like if you look at, if I do this side by side, you can see the, like it's got a style. It's got a very particular design style. That's all right. That's all right. We could always change it later on. Tatty Over makes the deck's normal resource lands do double duty as card draw. Most pieces are inexpensive, and each engine has several functional copies. So one removal spell rarely ends the plan. View current budget signals on EDH Rec. So EDH Rec. Benthic Druid Commander budget. Rank 260. Buy at Card Kingdom. Buy at... What's this one? Buy at Mana Pool. What's this one? Buy at TCG Player. Gotcha. Okay, so it's got this website, EDH Rec, for like centralizing the cost of stuff. Near mint, $1.40. Interesting. They seem a little bit out of, market price 15. I see. So market price 15 cents, near mint 40 cents, normal, foil. Gotcha. So you've got different price points here on like how much they should cost. I see. Interesting. Okay. So that's what Tadiova would cost. I don't know if it pulled that though. Tadiova, Bethic Druid, market guide, USD 33 cents, US 233 low. Forest, Islands, Evolving Winds, Terramorphic Expanse. We don't have any of it. So the market guide for the whole deck would be $124. 100 card purchase board. I don't know if that includes the because that's saying what, Forest 17 of this, but are they 26 each? I feel like it shouldn't be 26 cents because forests are I assume pretty basic basic cards, no? The cool thing is that it's given us little search. It's given us a little search Australian stock link, so I can click on each of these to then say, all right, we're looking for lands. I want to buy lands to build this deck. Where can I get them from? Oh, forest, sorry. Forest? Was that forest? Yeah, I want to buy as many forest cards as possible. I need 17 of these bastards. Where can I get them? And so it'll then run a search of forest against TCG Good Games in Australia. And then it'll give you, hopefully, forest, but I don't see any forests here. And the ones I do see are all super expensive. Rarity, common. Ah, here we go. Forest. Forest 216 unstable. Or is this a normal Magic the Gathering card? What's the difference? How do you tell? Basic Land Forest? Jurassic World Collection? Oh, these are all for different games. So I need a... There we go, Commander. Oh. Just that part is helpful. Being able to search. The cool thing here is then going through it, you can check off what you have and don't have. And then I don't know if you can. You can search cards. You can filter this list to the different types of cards that you want to purchase. And so it becomes this bit of a purchase board tracker for your own deck. I don't think, because a useful feature on a table of data for me would being able to press a button and remove stuff which you've already bought. Being able to search the cards, yeah, I agree. Being able to search the cards easily. So let's see, Good Games pops up with Forest, but are these Commander cards? I can't tell if these are Commander cards or normal Magic the Gathering cards, or if you can swap them in and out or use both. Basic Land, Snow, set. MTG singles? Surely it would tell you if it was from Commander. Okay, you can use them in Commander. All right, cool. Okay. So if we got some forests, Forest 273, do the numbers mean anything? Let me ask. I think I can put these on. Can I put this on instant? Or let's put this on 5.6 Lunar medium. Do the numbers mean anything? Cool. There'll be a card number in a set. I see. 247 full arts and 247 as opposed to Forest 246 or 273. So it's the same card, but different art on each of the cards. I see. So this is me getting some card game knowledge. Excellent. Okay, cool. So it is helpful having some site searches then. Being able to quickly jump between sites and pull some data. What's even then more useful if you wanted to keep an eye on it, let's say I do a mana market, pull a bunch of cards, get their prices, and I'm all right, these prices are okay, but not exactly what I'd want. You should be able to actually use AI to pull in the different prices as they are now across the different sites and then figure out what the right stock to be would be. So let's say let's say I wanted to do a research goal of buying or figuring out having a price point that I was happy to buy forest cards at, and then keeping an eye on that price point across the different sites. Let's say that we wanted to do that in a bit more detail specifically, right? So we're going to say sol, high, fast, leave it on that. I'm going to say I want to have a section of this site specifically where you go and pull the active prices for the right cards across the different sites, and then actually have links to those cards with the price to the actual site. Can you do some research and use the web browser to actually like pull this data in specifically for forest? Let's start on these because I need so many of them, and pull the right prices, and then add kind of like as of today, like when you go and do that research, the current prices for these cards, and give me like a bit of a shopping list or what the best like point of buying it is. I don't really mind about like the high quality cards at this point. I just want to like build my initial deck before I get too far into it. Specific set, card number, rarity. Yeah, so pull the relevant details, build it up, and help me buy my first set of forest cards, please. So I'm giving it a pretty open-ended like ask here. And I'm asking it to do a bit more than just like create a web app. I'm asking it now to do research and consolidate and centralize information, right? Especially Codex in the desktop app has the ability to actually look at like browse to websites and look at stuff. And so those same searches where we've clicked on the links and actually gone to the web pages and in the different storefronts, it should be able to do that itself and then pull the results of that all into one place, right? And then if it can do it once, it can do it again, right? You could run then again tomorrow and say, hey, check now. Are there any updates? Are there any new cards on offer for different prices? Like, what can I get? I'm using the in-app browser to verify real Australian listings and the site's workflow to add a dedicated Buy 17 Forests section. I'll optimize for ordinary playable copies, not collectible full art or foil versions. Compare the actual basket cost. This is where you get the actual useful bit of AI, where it's got general knowledge of how things work and can build things in a way that makes sense for you. And then I'll just let it cook, right? Normally, I'd have like a couple of projects like going on at the same time. Like I'd be doing this, and then just leave it for a bit and go do something else. Like fire off an ask to AI, and then go back to whatever I was doing before, which can often be editing videos at the moment for this streaming thing that I'm trying to do, or playing League of Legends, which is my other Achilles heel. But if you've got like multiple projects that you've got going on, like something at work, something at like home, like a mix of different activities, you just keep the agents working on all of them in parallel, right? And then you just like check in on them. I'll be using the in-app browser to verify real Australian listings and the site's workflow. While that's doing it, now you've got me curious. Now you've got me curious about this stuff. Hey, for Magic Commander, tell me about like sets. Do sets release in like, do you have like a set released every year? And is it valuable to try and collect all of the cards within a particular set? Like, tell me a bit more. Regular Magic sets, Commander decks, and special supplemental releases clearly. I imagine if you were like it's nicer if you have like all of the cards from the same set, so that it's like got like a particular consistent art theme, or just from like a collector perspective, being able to like tick off that you've got every card in a set, right? Batch of newly released cards. Normal major release may contain a few hundred cards built around its own world. 6 major booster sets per year rather than 1 annual set. Wizards scheduled 7 for 2026, but described that as an unusual scheduling year, so that it intends to return to 6 in 2027. 100 card singleton deck. Normally no duplicate cards other than basic lands. Oh. You can have Lord of the Rings themed sets? That's cool. Usually completing a set is better treated as a hobby goal rather than an investment strategy. Owning all the commons in an expensive res does not automatically make the collection substantially more valuable than the individual cards. Ooh, a Hobbit set. What about things like Forest? Are they common cards across different sets? That's why we see forests pop up all the time. Gotcha. Game-wise, most cards named Forest are functionally the same. Basic land, Forest produces green mana. Gotcha. Which is why if you are trying to build a deck and you need 17 of these things, you don't really care about, like, you're not gonna like try and get them all from the same set or anything. You're just like, whatever one is like most accessible, cheapest, or like convinces me to spend a little bit more for whatever quality it has. Maybe you like the art of a particular forest better than another one. Gotcha. Secret lair drops. What's a secret lair drop, GPT? Lair. Mainly collectors. 4 to 8 specific cards, often with unusual artwork. Yeah, it's like a shiny, like a Pokemon shiny, but a magic version. Interesting. You can generally buy one individual drop or bundles combining several of them. You know which main cards you're purchasing rather than opening random boosters. Can occasionally be an additional surprise or bonus card in the package, but a secret lair is fundamentally close to buying a small predetermined card collection rather than buying booster packs. Gotcha. Interesting. All right, how'd our app go? What you can see now is Codex Desktop is actually got like a browser open and it's browsing different pages and then finding things for it. So it went to Mana Market, it extracted the prices, it filtered to available forests, it went to MTG Mate, it went to Good Games, it went to TCG Markets. It's gone to these kind of websites to find like the latest prices for all of these cards to then actually build its own little data set. So it's like, well, if I can't get like some general data set of all of the card prices up to date at any time, I'll just run a search and pull it myself, right? Very cool. Very cool. Need some background music for Bengineering and chill. Yes. The only thing I need to actually figure out if we're going to have some Bengineering background music is what I can get away with without getting like getting copyright prevented. I believe you can include music even if it's copyrighted when streaming on Twitch on live, but you can't include it on like the recording, or like it'll be automatically muted off the video on demand so that you can't like pull it later. But I need to check if there's anything that, well, one, I need to check how to set that up. Two, I need to check how that works with like YouTube, because I'm also streaming between both Twitch and YouTube, and I need to check if there's anything that doesn't fall into that like category of like like I just need to make sure I won't get in trouble with the music lords. New buying section is built around a concrete first order, 17 random art modern frame forests from Games Portal for Australian $2.55 before shipping, with MTG Mate as the stock depth fallback. So, if we were going to build a Magic Commander deck and we needed to buy a whole bunch of forest cards, let's see what we've got. Let's see what it's been able to pull for us. Navigating deck tab to live URL and verifying update. All right. It's seemed to have found a bunch of information. Let's go and see what it's been able to do. Here. No. Here. Yes, here. Give it a refresh. All right. Come on, GPT. Show us some magic. GPT has gone and researched, and it's built us an entirely new web section to help us buy 17 forests for Australian $2.55. Each should be about 15 cents. Card total for all 17 should be about $2.50. Single store postage. So if we get them all from Games Portal, then we just need to figure out how much the postage costs. There's no premium upgrades in this. We're not getting any fun foiled cards or full art forest cards. We're just getting basics to build our deck right now. If we open the Games Portal listing, this will take us to, the thing. We can just say, we want 17 of these from Games Portal, add to cart, and then we just need to check the postage. Check out. Done. And so it's checked everywhere, and it's just found the best deal, right? Phenomenal. It's also then found some fallbacks. So it said if you don't want to get them from Games Portal, get them from MTGmate. Full Art Forest number 285, Marvel Superheroes. Recent index stock showed 48 available, and so you could get 17 for $17. Bit expensive. There is only one of these at 80 cents at Mana Market, and so if you were just buying this card directly and you wanted 17, just get them from this Games Portal. That's what it's basically saying. Phenomenal. Research note. TCG markets return no forest listings. Price and stock can move after this timestamp. Open the product link and confirm quantity. So, Barbarian. For researching stuff, centralizing your deck building, keeping an eye on stock, being able to do searches on cards. I mean, for me having zero knowledge and being able to do that in a couple of minutes, well, more than a couple of minutes, was it 20 minutes? I'd be pretty happy with that, right? To take it further, I'd probably get it to go and do stuff like pulling in card images to actually see what cards that you're buying, just to make it prettier and make it work a bit better. But all in all, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Best possible price. Ask a nearby game store or established player for spare basics first. Basic lands are commonly kept in bulk. If they are free, that beats every online basket. So I guess for Forest, that's also a call out. You don't even need to go to a game dealer if you just go to a tournament and you chat to some players and then you're like, hey, I need some Forest for my deck. Can I have some? I'll give you these. Awesome. Cool. All right. That was a good tangent. Very good tangent. But now I've been streaming for a bit too long. I wanted to go into so we've done some data analysis. I did want to tackle Merz's how to pull changes in from another app. I want to grab, welcome bar. Very welcome. I wanted to go and do this one thing. Maybe I'll worry about the beginner stuff and save that for tomorrow. But we had a design and some graphs and a particular way of setting this up in Gemini. And then we had a very different design in Codex. Let's say that we actually cared about keeping our design from Gemini. We liked that more than the Codex one, and we wanted to pull that in. The way I would do that is very sillily. I would actually do that by giving it probably the full HTML from our Gemini web app, and then telling GPT to basically respect the design and pull some of the design considerations in. Hey GPT, I didn't like your design, your default design choices for this web app. Here's a design from Gemini. I like the content, but I prefer the charts and the design from the Gemini HTML page. can you completely redo the design and layout and take inspiration from the charts and the content in this HTML and then update this site to reflect my Gemini design choices? Thank you. So just a pretty basic, like, hey, just steal the design from here example. But giving it the code, then it can actually look at like the libraries it's used, the color palettes, the design choices, and use that as a reference. Is the thank you a best practice? I'm hoping that because I say thank you, once the AI overlords take over, they'll take you first and spare me because of how polite I was. That's really the intention behind the thank yous. It's really like an investment into your like future livelihood. That's really what's driving the politeness, you know? You be nice to it. Just imagine like a 2 meter tall robot, like armed to the teeth with like weapons. And, just imagine that is who you're talking to when you say thank you to GPT, right? You say thank you. Thank you. So, yes, it's pretty vital. It's pretty vital. This is insurance more than anything. Thank yous per API call, metric per human. Yeah. Yep. You don't worry. Look, the thanks yous you're including in terms of token cost versus the amount of stuff then this just runs after that, the amount of skills it loads unnecessarily. Thank yous aren't going to be spending your money. Thank yous are not the concern for token costs, especially the way that we're using AI. The reference direction is clear: a dark slate navigation bar, compact white analytics cards, indigo, emerald, rose accents, rounded panels. So it's, especially GPT is a lot better at UI stuff, and so it can kind of get a design and then should be able to like enforce that consistently. Before GPT 5.6, like before last week, this would have been probably like, it would have done it, but it wouldn't have done it as like consistently as it can do this week. 5.6 is like genuinely pretty badass. People are like, GPT 5.6 Soul or Fable? Like they're making that comparison. That's crazy, right? Fable was like oh my God, I can't believe we've got a model this powerful. And then OpenAI is like, yeah, but GPT 5.6. And like they're actually living up to the hype. People are pleasantly surprised at GPT not overhyping that, then dropping it. And then they're like, wow, that's banger. It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool all in all, I gotta say. GPT 5.6 did a good job. It did a pretty good job. So we'll let it cook for a little bit. But just to remind you about what it looks like, this is for the finance data app. So our personal finance analysis, where it's got some bars and it's got some, some pulse checks across our 1,500 matching transactions, average transaction value, total outflow. This synthetic data, like if somebody did have this kind of spend, they're spending a fair bit, right? 1.2K. And what are they spending it on? They're spending it on right analysis mention, no couple debate must, up here drawer, Democratic recent student specific political as a food and drink expense. It's kind of nonsense data. That's a lot to spend on nonsense, I gotta say. 5.6 Sol is such better value even on ultra code fast. It's doing great work for me. Yes, 100% it's better value. Like the performance to price that you're getting from this thing is phenomenal. 5shot97, first time chatter. Welcome to the chat, my friend. How you doing? I'm doing good. We've made a couple of, we're doing some data analysis with AI. We gave Codex, so we got the Codex desktop app. We gave it some personal finance synthetic CSV data, and we said build us a web app. Just to simulate what GPT could do if you gave it your transactions. And it gave us this within a couple of minutes. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. A clearer view of every dollar. The thing that's working surprisingly well is GPT has finally done a pretty good job at being able to publish sites. So if you ask Codex on desktop to create like a web app, it publishes it as a shareable like link that you can then come to later on a phone, or you can even choose to share it like more widely. So you can turn off just me and let anyone on the internet access it, and then it just becomes a link, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Should I not be learning web development then if GPT can do this, lol? I think the reason why you still want to learn web development is because if you want to go any further with it, or you want to make sure it's actually doing a good design, you're keeping an eye on what it's making, and then you're giving it tips around, okay, I want you to use these libraries or approach it in this way, or you'll like be able to give it better nuance about design palettes and stuff. Like GPT got a lot better at design, but it's still not perfect, right? Like you want to make conscious decisions about this is how you actually display information. So I think my point in getting people to use AI is not to say don't learn technology. It's to motivate why you would want to learn to use technology, because it lets you do more with AI and technology, right? AI can't do like anything on its own. It's a text generator, but because it can write code, it can use code to do that, right? Before becoming an AI engineer, well, I'd say I'm just an AI bengineer, but what was I doing? Data science for 10 years, for a long time. So building AI, building models, building machine learning before ChatGPT came along and made like generative AI cool, analyzing big data sets, doing distributed compute stuff, like all that stuff, you know, doing that for a long time, including web stuff, because if you're going to like build models and AI, and you want to like take the outputs of that and make that make sense to someone, you better figure out how to display it nicely, right? Especially with machine learning models, it's like no one cares about like a predicted output, right? But people do care about what that means in terms of the rest of the data set. So you'd still want to do analysis to like help convince some high up to take your model and run with it. So we'd still do web stuff as well. I'm a data scientist and looking to learn web stuff for that very same reason. It's a very good pursuit. I would highly recommend it. There's not a lot of data scientists that can do product and web stuff. There are becoming more now, I think, with the big ChatGPT-ing of the industry. But I think, you know, front end stuff and design and visuals often get overlooked. But it's still going to be the best way that you're going to like deliver a message to somebody, right? You build something cool, make it look cool. Right? It's not even that hard to get started with. And if you can understand just the basics of the web technology landscape, you'll be able to do so much with it, right? Yes, I want to learn more about how products are made to do that very thing. Then you're in the right place. You're in the right place. Come and let's make stuff together, and we'll talk about the ins and outs of it. What you can do with this stuff when it all like works is phenomenal. Let me show you. I made this the other day because I've been testing out Fable versus GPT 5.6 versus all of these things. This is an audio visualizer that GPT 5.6 made. One shot. Say, hey, I want an audio visualizer where I can just talk to it and it shows stuff, right? Much cooler. Framework we work with at work enables you to write your own TypeScript plugins, which is another reason for me to learn. Sick. Good. TypeScript is like a very powerful language right now, and it's worth learning the ins and outs of it. Yo, CMG Griffing, you raided me. Hey, welcome to the stream, fam. How we doing? Howdy. Man, this is my 4th day streaming and my first ever raid. Thank you, man. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Just chilling. Me too. We're chilling and we're doing some AI beginner kind of like coding stuff. How you doing? Did you have a good stream, my friend? Damn. That's crazy. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. How do I... Hold on. I've just messed up my whole interface. There we go. Oh, fuck. I just banned you. Shit. No, how do I undo that? Oh, God, no. I need to undo that. Oh no. How do I I've pressed too many buttons. No. Oh, that's the worst. I just accidentally how do I do this? No, don't block. How do I do this? Oh man, that's there we go. All right, unbanned. Sorry, CMG Griffing. I accidentally banned you. I'm trying to work out how OBS Studio works, and I was trying to like make it bigger. I'm sorry, come back. All renders get banned on first sight. If you can't tell, I'm new to this streaming business, so I'm trying to work out how everything works. apparently, I was trying to play with the OBS Studio like panel sizes and accidentally insta banned you. Sorry about that. You can do slash commands. Man, I haven't explored the slash commands in Twitch chat at all. Thank you. Hey, look, welcome to the stream. We've been doing some beginner builds of different things with Gemini, with Codex, and talking about like why you'd want to. Well, basically, I'm trying to get you to go from like never using AI to being comfortable using it like in desktop apps. Right? That's the first mission. If I can get everyone to there, then we can talk further about like other stuff like what TypeScript is and, you know, basic web tech and like getting further into like the, you know, different commands, maybe do a lesson on Git, maybe do a lesson on Bash, maybe do this kind of stuff. Schema thesis, OpenAI spec validation. Ooh, spec validation sounds fun. Property-based AI testing for OpenAPI. Generates property-based tests for your OpenAPI or GraphQL schema and exercises the edge cases. Very cool. Find bugs in your API in 5 minutes. 2.0 Swagger, what teams choose. Find real bugs in the first run. Oh, that's cool. I love UV packages. Anything that has a UVX run this in it makes me very happy. Okay, OpenAPI JSON, and you just run it directly against like an OpenAPI spec. That's sick. Okay. The API lives under this. Booking example. Huh. Okay. And so then you run it, and what does it give you? Broadly fix things like missing response definitions. Nice. Am I Australian for 5-shot? Yes, I am Australian. Aussie from Sydney. Run the provided curl command to reproduce the file. Reporting. Nice. Oh, that's sick. So you basically just use it to like smoke test your APIs or like without having to write a whole bunch of, you know, case by case unit tests. Yeah, sick. That's really nice, actually. I might run this against one of my little experiments that I'm going to hopefully get working and stream soon. I want to show how to build agents in different settings, and I feel like latest models they've been able to play Pokemon end to end. I haven't seen anybody. Well, I've read some papers, but I haven't seen any videos yet, unless you've got some to share of people playing Minecraft end to end with agents. And so I want to like do like a harness to basically use GPT to like hit goals and like play through Minecraft independently. Going to do integration testing with Dread.js, but it's nice to do validation from a high level. It's nice to get like a quick look at this stuff. And like, you know, you've built an API, you haven't written any tests, you're like, well, this seems to work. Just to get something you can run quickly to be like, is anything broken, right? Like that's the magic of linting, is that you can very quickly run lint and be like, is anything just messed up across this entire like code base? And it's very nice for AI to have these tools just to like, you know, sound warning bells on things that might be a bit like fishy. This is sick. And you can generate more test cases. Max examples 500, continue on failure. Huh. Schema thesis stops at the first failure, so you can just continue on failure and keep on generating test cases. What does it generate them as? Does it... first test run... Is it generating Python code and then executing the Python code as like standard PyTest? Oh, it's got something on PyTest here. First test run. No, it'll just like execute a whole bunch of stuff. CSE. Public API is a precursor to generating a CLI SDK and then an MCP server. Nice. Oh, this is sick. What APIs are you making? Or are you doing like kind of like technical lessons on API development? Gotcha. Still, that's really nice. APIs definitely fit very far into the right of my what I think it's valuable doing, which is getting people just to building apps at all. This is much more like, okay, you've built your first app, you've built your second app, you're trying to figure out like how to build apps like properly well, and you're starting to learn more like tech business, and you get into like API development and testing. Listen for keywords on social media. Ooh, like keywords like if somebody mentions BTC on X, like that kind of thing, or like you're listening to like news channels and looking for like particular words on actual like live streams. Both are fun. Very cool. Very cool. A lot more advanced than build your first personal expense tracking website. Blue Sky, how can you use lobsters? Sick. I'm curious what the I don't know if you want to spoil it for your community or if you've already talked to it, but I'm curious what the goal is. Like, what words are you looking for? Blue Sky, how can you use lobsters? I'm not familiar with lobsters. Lobsters news? Ooh, never miss a mention again. I see. So you can kind of like be attent. Right. So if somebody posts a Hacker News article on the thing you're building, you can like, you know, come back from like a long lunch and be like, oh, I need to respond to a whole bunch of messages that are flooding me and figure out like why your particular product is blowing up. That's cool. That's cool. Never miss a Blue Sky mention, coming again. Hacker News. Sick, man. What AI did you use to make the site is the real question. What's your AI tool of choice, my friend? This is very cool. I like the design palette. It's very yellow. Lenses, writing effective lens prompts. Each keyword matched event classifies whether it's relevant. Nice. Mostly by hand. Ah, the days. Don't you just miss writing code by hand? Just something special about like, you know, raw fingers on keyboards, writing code, actually making things work. What area of data science do I specialize in? Tabular, like, you know, gradient boosted machine learning modeling and big data. Organic gluten-free code. Use Minimax for most of the animations. Ooh, where are the animations? Like these ones? Never miss a lobsters mention again. Reddit, coming soon. Start monitoring free. Ah, lobsters RS. I see. Ah, like this. Very nice. GLM 5.3 codecs. Yeah, gotcha. Minimax. I'm curious because I haven't had to play with GLM Minimax yet. I've heard a lot of people talk about them. I hear that they're coding gods similar to Opus, but not so good on the general world knowledge. But a hell of a lot cheaper. Did you, especially with GPT 5.6 out at the moment, like I'm getting most of my news from what people discuss and then like a bit of testing myself. But because I haven't tested GLM or Minimax, it doesn't have image input capabilities. Minimax does have image support. Gotcha. I find it at the moment hard to use up all of my Codex and Claude credits between 3 plans. And I think especially for people beginning, like coming into the field, like if you're not already in tech, if you are solidly in one of these like first 2 or 3 boxes, you're only making your very first app with AI, or like you're only using AI in desktop, like I'm a big fan of how easy the like GPT desktop, Claude desktop, like anti-gravity apps are to get started and use, especially for free, right? Like you can use ChatGPT for free and like, give it a go. Olama's $20 plan is very cost efficient. You can mess with all of the open models. Sick. I assumed that most people will go on open router token pricing, so I'm gonna have to look up the Olama plan. Huh. Oh, interesting. Unlimited public models. What are the public models on Olama? Do they have like a model reference list for what you can get for free? Models? No, that's docs. Models? Ornith, GLM 5.2, Gemma 4. Huh. The more you know. Man, this is really useful information. Thank you, CMG. CM Griffin. Oh man, I'm going to come drop into your stream next time you're like streaming actively. Do I have a master's? No. I just have like lots of experience doing stuff and solving problems. Especially like if you're already actively solving data science problems or like working in a space. Stream 5 days a week, you have plenty of chances. Hell yeah, man. That's what I'm working towards after I get like my video editing process down pat some more. Video editing, this is like, so last Monday, like a week ago, was my very first stream ever. And so I've been leaving all of the like learning of how to do this stuff until now. There's like a lot involved, and especially with video editing. That stuff takes ages. I've been, one of my little projects that I've been doing is to build a pipeline to help like that video editing process so that you can do as much as possible before you have to start dragging things around in CapCut. I have gotten it to the point where I can get most of a short like prepared, and then it's just about positioning and like some animation and some design choices before I like do CapCut stuff. Some good vibes going on there. But yes, if I can get that down pat, I'd also like to stream 5, 6, 7 days a week if I can for the next 6 months. 5shot97, do I have a master's? No. Yes, no. Because like I got into DS back when it was reasonably new, I always felt like it was more effective to just learn in my own time or like do work. I think in Australia, I'd be motivated by a master's if it was like a requirement to like progress to like a higher level, or if I wanted some more exposure across industries. But if I was doing a master's, I'd probably do like a master's of statistics. For any like data science modeling stuff, it's like, one, it's changed a lot, I think, at the moment in some fields. What industry am I in? At the moment, none, because I'm taking like a sabbatical. But for my career, finance stuff, financy, data sciencey stuff. But like why I'm streaming, I feel there's this widening gap between one more thing to shill if it's okay. Of course it's okay. Git cracking. We published some AI benchmarks about how well LLMs do Git stuff. Sick. I will actually go and have a look through this as well. Especially I want to have a look at like the actual benchmarks that you've got for this, because Git stuff, Nematron, cost per full term, benchmarks, cherry pick, excellent. Where's my favorite? How's it go at rebasing, and what does well at rebasing is what I'm most interested in. Benchmark costs. Claude Opus costs quite a bit to do benchmarking. Gemini 3.1 Pro preview. It's interesting to see Claude Fable like cost less on average than Opus. Grok 4.5. You've even got like the latest models. GPT 5.6. No GPT 5.6. When's GPT? Oh, here, because it's so low. What the hell? Oh, that's sick. Very nice. Dean Dev, is that a Queensland accent? Nah, that's a New South Wales accent. New South Wales, Sydney especially. Have I considered becoming an actuary from 5shot97? No. I would probably go further towards the engineering side than actuarial. Stats is fun, but I don't think I'd want to do stats at the expense of building stuff, because like code and engineering principles are a lot more fun than statsy. Close enough. It is close enough. Look, like Queensland, I mean, it's just a state away, right? Like, but their states are pretty big in Australia. Ran the latest models over the weekend. Yeah, no, this is sick, dude. Griffing. I really want to do some Git content, basically like Git Git 101 for people that are coming into like kind of like coding in the industry and like the vibe code army, because even just being able to appreciate what these different terms are for somebody that's completely new to like tech, not even knowing them in detail, or even just like basics, like what a commit tree is and like what commits are and what they do and what a branch is, and like when your codex is saying, oh, I've done this and I've committed this, and you know we've just started a new branch, or we've switched to a new work tree. Like it's like a whole new language for like most people, and so I want to help bridge that language as much as possible. Git show everything can do git log, ref log, work tree, stash recovery. It's interesting that we've got lower than 100% on 2 merge conflicts and rebase, which arguably are the main thing that you'd actually want Git to like, you'd want an AI to help you with. Git can be daunting. It can be, man. It can be, especially because Git's like one of the perfect examples of like a good Unix program. Like it is like Linux to a T. It's like the Linuxiest program of all time, but it's also like the most widespread thing. Like it's everywhere, right? You know, you get a button for it for any of your code that you've like changed in Codex, I think. If you review. Wait, do you? Where are all my changes? Huh? Where are all my changes? Not a clue. Maybe not in this one. Maybe not in this one. Maybe not in any of them. Huh. Where'd all my Git stuff go? Not. Oh, maybe not in these ones. Maybe I don't have Git and Codex right now. Normally you get a button for it. In Claude you get a button for it. Ooh. But yeah, no, I agree. It's Git. You get to sit in the Git contributor summit at GitHub. Yeah, that'd be sick. I wonder what they talk about. What did they talk about? What did they talk about at a Git contributor summit? I contributed. Oh, as in like the core Git contributor. Oh, like the proper like Linux dudes. Yeah. Yes. Yep. That'd be sick. 5shot97. Have I heard of Jeremy Howard? No. Should I have? Is he a nice guy? Is he a friendly fellow? I don't know a Jeremy Howard. But maybe I should. I reckon, yeah, the Git maintainers, like, yes, please go and eat. Thank you for rating. Thank you for dropping in. I will, as a thank you to all of the people that came along and have been sticking around a bit, maybe I'll do a little bit of like super beginner stuff then. I want to talk about, just really briefly then. So I want to talk about 2 things. One, I've been cooking stuff and I've made like a hub of like explanation content. And the idea is to, I'm going to just move this out of the way. The idea is to use this to like kind of go through some of these basic concepts in a bit more detail. So I think that the people in your chat will know tech. So this isn't going to make, this is more for you to like agree with if this is a good explanation of it. And to help people that are actually new explain like why they'd want to do code agents at all. So one, GPT 5.6, Claude, like these models are getting really good at UI, especially the 5.5 to 5.6 upgrade has been noticeably better, like phenomenally better at front-end stuff. And because it's good at front-end, you can use it to explain concepts really well, which is good for like teaching and beginner stuff, but it's also good if you're like learning stuff. If you're sitting down and you want to read through, I I don't know, like elements of statistical learning, using this to give yourself like a visual notes guide is like super powerful, right? So using it to say, all right, if you're trying to teach your grandma why to use Codex, which is a noble pursuit, and I wish you luck. Otherwise, I'll give it my best shot. You kind of want to say, look, you can talk to ChatGPT. Most people have talked to ChatGPT, but you can do more, right? Like if you limit yourself to just like text conversation back and forth with like a chat agent, like you're missing out on a massive amount of what like AI models can do these days, right? And like the simplest version of that is this, right? If you're saying, hey, here's a couple of tasks, can you tell me where my projects are? Text is going to give you a bullet point list. It's all right. It's not the best. I'm going to also zoom in a little bit. You have that as a rich web page. And like, again, my tech community, you guys will know this is possible and you'll have already used this for a bunch of stuff, but it's the same thing. It's just like it's an answer, but it's just better. It's just better. You get icons, you get interactivity, you get expands, you can hide detail, you can organize information. It's the same information. It's just presented in a vastly better way, right? Or, you know, in text, you can say, hey, I'm trying to split $82 between, or $84 between 4 people. How much do we all need to split? Chat would just say, oh, each person pays $21. It's correct, but it's boring. It looks crap, right? Put this into like an actual web app and you get adjustable like bills, adjustable people. You can calculate this on the fly. It gives you a tool you can use, right? Again, if you're tech, you know this. This is like sensible, makes sense. If you're not tech, you're like, yeah, well, I know I can use an app for this, but I don't have to use an app, so I talk to ChatGPT. And it's like, do both. Use Gemini, ask it for a little web app and it'll build one on the fly, or ask ChatGPT to build your web page and you can just open that, right? Like it's really easy to actually do small, simple web apps for different things. And if it matters enough that you're, you know, like going back and forth with an AI agent, maybe it deserves an app, right? So coding agents, the ability for AI to write code lets it present information prettier, and it also lets it take action, right? Again, if you're trying to convince somebody to download a Codex, or if you haven't used Codex before, like AI being able to write code will let it do multiple sequences of steps that gets it to an outcome that you'd have to do anyway. And so if you're going to have to do it anyway, you may as well speed up the process or make it repeatable with AI, you know? Like, hey, I've got a sales CSV in my Google Drive. It can pull that from Google Drive itself, right? Like you can connect Codex into Google Drive and it can go and get files. It can analyze that data, group it up, you know, do some analysis, look for like trends and patterns. Then it can like create, you know, an interactive chart. It can create something to deliver that in a much nicer format. You could use ChatGPT to do it. Maybe. It's not going to be as nice. So I think there's, if you've never actually gone through and created like content with AI, like in a richer way, you should give it a go and see how it works. And if you are using AI already with tools, I think an important thing that tech people tend to forget as well, it makes a lot of sense. But if you are building stuff, tend to try and choose tools that AI is going to use efficiently and effectively, which for me just comes down to like 2 things. You choose stuff that's well known and AI is going to be better at it. And if you choose stuff that's expressive, AI is going to be better at it, right? So when Griffin was talking about having a tool for running tests against API, schema thesis, this is an awesome example of why this is so good for AI, is because it can do things that you could also do just by writing like loads of unit tests, but it can do them a lot quicker with less lines of code to get you a very similar output. So this is an awesome AI-friendly tool because it's expressive. Less code, more value, awesome, right? That kind of same theory leads to explanations about why certain tech works so well. If there's lots of examples and it's very expressive, that helps to explain why React and Tailwind are so goddamn popular, right? Yes, you can generate raw HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but why would you when you can use React and Tailwind and it's going to be doing the same thing for less lines of code, right? Simple example is a simple button with some style and a script in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You do that same thing in React and Tailwind, and it's going to be, you know, half the size, right? For the same kind of output. So, like, you don't have to use this to consider what technologies you choose for different things, but just keep it in mind. expressive plus popular is going to give AI better tools to do the same kind of job. If it's expressive but not popular, you could probably make up for the fact that it's not popular by giving it like examples of stuff or pointing it to the docs. If it's popular but not expressive, aka HTML, it can use it, could do a pretty good job of it, but models will tend to truncate at certain like context windows or have to like load a full code base or load like more context. And so it just lets you, it stops your projects from becoming as advanced if you're going to use like raw HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So again, basic stuff. This stuff should make sense if you're tech, but like sometimes it helps to remember that these are the kind of rules of the game and why you would choose certain things, right? A good example of this is if you go to GitHub and you search for a topic, or if we search topic and let's say topic charts, right? Most stars, you will find the most popular repos. And so if you're choosing a charting library, what do you choose, right? The very, very number one repo, if you're searching for topic charts in GitHub, is going to be D3, right? And then you'll find, okay, D3JS, it's pretty popular. You can do really nice charts. You know, it's got 113K stars, which is twice the next highest charts library on GitHub. So would this make an awesome, you know, library to let AI use directly if you were doing some front-end charts? You go into the documentation, you have a look at the code behind it, and you say, cool, here is just the code to define a single chart. We defined the margins, X's, Y's, SVG, we append an X-axis, we append a Y-axis. That's a lot just for some lines, right? We go into something for an area chart. You have a look at the amount of code involved in creating an area chart, and there is a lot of like very specific code just to set up a single chart, right? So I look at this library and you say D3 is popular, yes, but it's not expressive, right? You have to use a lot of code to do something you'd consider quite basic. If you need the power, if you need that power of like the really low level detail, like you can use it, but I don't think it makes it a good choice for AI off the rip. I think you'd be better off going and looking at something like Apache eCharts or Plotly or I don't know if they've got React charts here. Formatter Labs Victory, Bitnami Helm charts, Prime React, Go charts, React Chart JS 2. Yeah, you'd be better off using something like eCharts, right? Which a lot of people haven't come across. I hadn't come across it until recently. Very mature, been around for a long time, which is why it has a lot of charts. Much more expressive, right? If you have a look at some of the, let's look at some of the getting started examples. So one, the examples library is phenomenal and covers so much stuff, including things like 3D globes. Like you can have animated 3D globe maps of different stuff. Really cool, super cool library. You look at the code for a basic chart and we get this, right? For a full line chart, it's like, I don't know, 10 lines. And most of that is just specifying the actual data. If you were loading this from like a specific place and you'd already got like your initialization logic, the actual chart logic itself is like my chart.set option in eCharts. Done, right? Expressive, popular, popular. Number 2 on the charts topic on GitHub. That's a great choice for a library, right? Framing things in that way just helps like understand why certain technologies take off, and you'll see them all over the place. And it's like a self-reinforcing loop. The more popular it is, the more like AI is able to do with it. The more people use AI to do stuff with it, the more code then there is for AI to train from in future, right? Self-reinforcing, but it does color like why you would choose a certain set of technologies to build something. So with that said, I think the only other thing I wanted to do with today's stream, with all of my friends, thank you for dropping in, was actually have a look at ChatGPT work. So this is moving out of the beginner for beginners set to no, definitely out of beginner mode at the moment for AI familiars. Let's say that's what we're kind of like talking to at the moment. So if you have so GPT 5.6 came out. They refreshed the ChatGPT desktop app. I don't know if you've desktop app user or if you've been paying attention to any of this stuff, but they updated this app and they've introduced a work mode and a codex mode. And some of the like people that I follow are like, what the hell is the difference between these two modes, right? Everybody kind of knows codex, like GPT codex. There was some concern online that, work mode is going to eventually fade out codex, which people are not super thrilled by because, we love coding agents because they can do a lot. But I actually wanted to like try ChatGPT work out and form an opinion on what the hell this thing is, right? So I wanted to like give it some like scenarios, see what it does, and figure out if this is actually like worth using or not, or what the point is, right? So if we go into ChatGPT work, and we'll close all of our interfaces, my like understanding of it going in is this thing is meant for like day-to-day office work, and I think it can still run commands and look at files and do coding agent kind of stuff, but I think it is more like adjusted for the language of people that are like new to AI, right? Like don't know anything about code or technology. And so I think that's its target market, is to make AI coding or like AI local agents accessible to people that are not like in tech. I think that's my theory. So let's give it a go. Let's put it on 5.6 Sol high. We'll leave it on fast mode. Select a project to run my task in. Okay, let's start from scratch and let's call it work analysis. Right. We've got some spreadsheets here. Some plugins, documents, PDFs, spreadsheets, presentations, template creator, template like a PowerPoint template. Well, we'll see. What we want to do is we'll go into the spreadsheets mode. Ooh, and we've got then we've got templates, spreadsheet templates for what kind of a spreadsheet we'd want to create or work with. Interesting. We're then going to go and give it some data. So I was doing an analysis before on like a Kaggle mock personal finance data set. So we're going to give it a personal finance CSV. We'll give it just the 2022 one. And we'll say, can we create a analysis dashboard on top of this data? I want to understand my personal finances. Now, the personal finances in question are pretty dodgy, right? Like they're sample data. So the transaction descriptions make no sense. It's got questionable categories, questionable amounts. And so we want our analysis dashboard to tease out that it is kind of nonsense. Good question from 5Shot. When you are doing analysis, how are you verifying it's doing the right math? So this is like why I'd always get an AI agent to write code that does the math and then produces like an output on top of it. And how do you verify it's doing the right math is the right question, right? That's actually your job, is then to build something that does some transformation and to then design the verification loop around that, right? So how do you make sure that it is actually calculating something correctly, right? Test cases, give it a set of known inputs and then say, well, I know what the output should be for like a restricted set of inputs. Does this calculate it correctly? Visual inspection, like if you're working with data a lot, this is why I'd also recommend doing like charts and things on the back of a data set and the transformations. You can look at charts and you can kind of build an understanding of what's happening reasonably quickly. Plus you can get AI to add extra charts quite quickly on top of that as well. So you go from an input data set, do some transformations, aggregated or summary data set. You're looking at like the outputs of it, the kind of the stats, the time series trends, the like kind of like top level macro numbers. But you should be thinking about how do I verify that it is correct, right? Like in the right ballpark and that it hasn't like dropped anything. And so you're looking at things like, how do I make sure that the input to a function that's doing some kind of like a calculation has the right time range, right? Like maybe it gives you a number that's believable, but it's including too much data up front to begin with, right? This is why you still want code. If the data matters and the outputs matter, it's good to actually look at the calculations and how the functions are running and get it to write code in a way that you can understand, so that you can kind of say, like, okay, this makes sense. The way that it's calculating this is sensible, and like it's checking out. But I think having some test cases, having some just good overall process hygiene, and then testing it with a whole bunch of different scenarios is kind of the only way. Plus spot checks, right? Like with any data, it's going to say, okay, here's this particular like number. I'm going to go through and like reverse engineer how this was made to verify if this headline metric is actually correct. So what is this based on? All right, let's go and actually like run some code ourselves, or look at the query and make sure that that's actually calculating it the right way. Let's simplify it on the journey. You can use web apps to then also help paint that picture about how the data is being transformed and calculated along the way. And if you're spending time looking at it, it's likely that your AI agent is also going to help notice any discrepancies if you're putting time and effort into it. But if you never even think, oh, could it be right? Should I check it? You're not even going to ask the questions, and then you're going to just blindly assume that something's correct up front when it's not, right? So mainly you're already doing the right thing by asking the questions and like starting to go down that road of how you would confirm it. I think just the nicest way is building like kind of end-to-end test cases, essentially like end-to-end unit tests of input, output, makes sense, correct, here's an expected in and out. Is that going to be right across the board, right? And again, tell AI to do it. Like, hey, AI, let's like start with a data set with like a known input and output, run that through the pipeline, make sure it's all good. Cool. So how's our ChatGPT work going? I'm using the spreadsheet skill to turn the CSV into a clean interactive workbook with summary KPIs, trends, category breakdowns, and transaction level view. All right. So it's still running commands. I've instantly noticed that like the first thing I do as a tech person is to expand the commands and look at the commands it's running. You'll notice in ChatGPT work, it doesn't show you what commands it's running. Which I don't know if I feel like that's more dangerous almost, right? It's more non-tech friendly because it's not going to run a bunch of stuff that confuses them, but also like, what the hell is it running, right? I'm not sure about that. It's also using its spreadsheet skill, which I'm assuming I could have used that here as well. Like this has skills for all sorts of stuff. So this has spreadsheet skills and codex as well. Okay. It does have code, but it doesn't show us some of the like lines added, lines removed. So I think it's doing the same thing as codex does, just with like less detail so that you don't get bamboozled by technical stuff. I'm pretty sure this is just bringing coding agents to like non-technical people. Question is, can we give this to Claude Cowork as well? Because that's got a whole let's just create a new project. Data analysis. We want to understand our personal finances. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. We'll give Claude Cowork our little CSV data set. We'll give it the same prompt, analysis dashboard on top of this data. And we'll compare how Claude Cowork does its work. And I'll leave it on manual now, because if this is supposed to make life easier for somebody that doesn't understand code, how does it handle like asking you to approve random scripts? I've profiled the data, 873 transactions from here to here, tagged as income expense across 10 categories. Claude nicely gives us options of how do you want to format it. Because this is making a spreadsheet, because we turned on a skill, I'll tell it to do an Excel workbook. I'll say we want all of the different insights. I'm pretty sure that these like Cowork things are just the same as coding agents, just with adjusted language and UI. which gives me mixed feelings. Chat, if you have somebody that is like using a coding agent, do you think that they should have to actually learn some code or get exposed to it so they can go and appreciate the code that like AI is running to do things? Or do you think it's fine for them to just be abstracted and never have to worry about the code under the hood and just like blindly accept stuff? Like, what would you prefer? What do you think is the right way of approaching like educating people that are new to coding agents? Especially because I got a bunch of like more technical people in the chat now. My gut instinct. I think you should have the option to review code. I agree. Let's see if it gives us that option. I feel like the progress track, I don't know. Can you review all of the files and summarize if we've made good architectural decisions in this project? Do we get the same progress indicator? Like, does the UI look similar in the just normal? Actually, no, hold on. Is this? No, this isn't code. Hold on. Let's stop that. Because I like the little progress indicators that we have here. I think this is like kind of clean and gives you that same like step-by-step analysis, step-by-step progress list. Reason why I asked about math is we've had agents re-return back the first row of an Excel file and said it was the total. Yeah, not great. Yeah, trusting AI just raw with data on its own, I'd be very sus of it. I think you always want to make sure that it's actually got some real code behind it to carry, like that it's written and run to get an insight, not that it's just loaded rows and like returned you an answer with that directly, right? This is kind of like why I'd prefer a dashboard that has data wired into it. Like, so it's a code only path to getting an answer rather than just relying on Claude saying, hey, this is what the answer to your data question is, right? Yes, I think having an agent run actual like queries against some source or write a Python script to do some analysis and then showing it in some non-Codex or Claude only way is probably the right balance. Like you can imagine if you've got some data agent at work, right? You have the agent write some SQL, run the SQL, get some output, maybe run some aggregation stuff, and the agent is going to give you an answer. Oh, like this is like how your sales trajectory is increasing or whatever the data question was. But I think you'd also want to show some kind of a plot or a graph or a chart or some data display element alongside the actual raw text response from your data agent, just to ground it in some form of reality, right? Especially being able to look at, from like a data perspective, being able to see the data. You don't need to be technical to like look at some rows of data and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? So if you can get some view on the data that it did query and you can kind of see the raw row data, that helps you build confidence. The second part is then if you can see like the aggregated data and see some different views of charts. So you can be like, we fed in, 100,000 rows here. We then was like analyzing like a chart that then did some time series breakdowns. And so we can kind of see what this looks like over time. And then the final answer is, this has been the sales increase month on month. If you can get a view into the pipeline of data transformations, that's what I'd use to build confidence myself. And I think that's what you should kind of give users a view of as an experiential thing, right? So that they can kind of like cross their T's and dot their I's themselves when they need to, if they need to, right? But I agree. I think you need agents to generate code and then deliver the results from that code rather than getting an AI agent just to like look at data and be like, tell me this. Because it could just, they're built to be lazy. They're built to not look at everything. Done. Your dashboard workbook has 6 tabs, all driven by live formulas. So members update if you edit the data, dashboard, by category. Cool. Let's have a look at the Excel that Claude created, and then have a look at the one that GPT created. So GPT is created as personal finance dashboard.xlsx, and we can create that in, let's open this up in, can we open it in XLSX? Well, this opens it here. Let's open it up in actual Excel. So this is GPT 5.6's ChatGPT work dashboard. So it's taken our CSV, it's given us a whole XLSX dashboard. That's sick, actually. All right. Selected year, quick read, net cash flow is pretty negative. Expenses, pretty high. Income, pretty low, right? So we're spending a lot more than we are earning in this example CSV data set. Monthly analysis gives you like then the monthly breakdown and shows you the cumulative net like month on month. This would be really useful if you were like, you know, clicking around and just wanted to understand how your actual finances were tracking. Category analysis, so because it's got like spend categories, you can get your rent, travel, shopping breakdowns. So in this data set, the amount on shopping is the highest, with rent closely following by. The interesting thing in this data set, one of the things that we caught when we made our little web app on this data, was salary is classified as an expense. So it's like you're paying someone else's salary, not that this is your income. And the income comes from either other or investment. So this data, sample data from Kaggle is a little bit cooked. That's all right. Data model checks. So this is, I guess, to your question 5 shot and how you might actually like do some verification, is actually check what this is like counting on, right? So this has got some data and model checks as a tab set up where it's running formulas over the raw data set. So it's got the full data set formatted here, you know, with all of the types and amounts. It's then got, you know, the transactions A2 to A74, A2 here down to A74 there. So you can kind of see that it's running against the right column. Transaction row count, there we go, A73. And then it's got kind of different checks on the source amount, total, type counts, data quality exceptions, etc. If you've got like the raw CSV and you can do some of these quick checks yourself in a way that you trust, like maybe you go down here and you say, we're going to turn this into a table. Can we turn it into a table? Let's just grab this. Grab that, have a look at the sum, 1138584, and then we go back to our checks, 1131584. Awesome, right? So now you've got like 2 sources of verification. Much more trustworthy, right? If you can have multiple independent tests agree, then you've got something that's working well. If you've got multiple independent tests that disagree, then you've got a thread to pull on where you can say, well, what was making them disagree? Is one of them wrong? Is one of them taking the wrong approach? Did they just make different assumptions? Have I made the wrong assumptions? Have they made the wrong assumptions? Every useful data set output thing that I've ever made has always been better if I've been able to test it against something independent, because you're just looking for differences. What were the differences caused by, right? God forbid you've both made the same mistake up front, but then at least you've got like some trust that, you know, you're not crazy and you've made a common mistake that other people already trust. Then hopefully you can go and find that later with another comparison. That's not bad. So, okay. So GPT 5.6, ChatGPT work leaned well into creating us a Excel dashboard. Can it create us a web app as well? Can it actually do front end work in the same way? Can you create like a web app dashboard to display like a view of this information as well? Because this is what I'm really curious about. Like it can clearly run code, run commands, and write code, but can it do like web stuff as well? Is it purely like Codex, but with like simpler language? Back to Claude's. Let's check out Claude Cowork. So Claude Cowork did a similar thing, show in folder. Let's open this up. Oh, let's close that. Don't save. Let's close this. Don't save. Let's open this up. Oh, okay. Wait, what? Cannot open the file because the file path is more than 259 characters. This is Windows nonsense because we're in like multiple subfolders with GUIDs. I'm gonna need to put this up to like, let's just put it in like documents. All right. If you can't open an Excel book in Windows, just move it to a different folder. So this is what Claude Cowork was able to generate for us. It's a little bit messier. We've got a nice little pie chart, but pie charts are like never use a pie chart, always use a bar chart. Pie charts are where data goes to execs, and bar charts are for anyone that actually needs to know like a real value. Total income, total expenses, net savings, savings rate. Cool. So we get some nice little charts. We get the raw data. We get a by category breakdown. So we get a lot of similar stuff to the GPT Excel. I think the GPT Excel was kind of nicer, to be honest. Which was here. It's got the same name, Personal Finance Dashboard GPT. Like, I don't know about you, but like, chat, what do you think? I side by side, I feel like GPT beat Opus. It's not Fable, but also like it's cheaper than Fable and like gives you way more usage quota. So if you're like doing Excel stuff between GPT and Opus in the desktop apps, I'd put my money on GPT. Biggest transactions. Oh, this is nice. Okay. I mean, you could also just sort this by amount as well. No, not that. How do we do this? Filter, 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 filter. Sort. Oh, no. Filter. And then we sort. Oh, just the smallest. I mean, oh, because these are income. Okay. So largest expenses. Okay, cool. I mean, it's nice that it's pulled out like a little report and biggest transactions, but like the overall dashboard design, that's a world of difference. Did any catch the issue with income reporting as an expense? Let's find out. So they would have got graphs that picked it up, but what we want to see is the agent's response on it. Visual pass found one real issue, date serials instead of month names, created it, default view shows income of this, expenses of this, and net cash flow. So it hasn't mentioned it in the ChatGPT work in Claude. One thing itself, the data shows clearly total income was 400K versus 731K, so it's net negative. In this file, category and type columns don't always align. Some salary rows are tagged expense and some investment rows income. So I used the type column as the source of truth for income expense split. Interesting. So Claude Opus found it and then just re-tagged it. It says source of truth for the income/expense split. Hey, so even after like reclassifying income, so the salary as income, we've still got less income than expenses? Question mark. Yeah, interesting. So Claude Cowork is, oh no, you can. Okay, you can expand the scripts in Claude Cowork to see what code it's running. It's running Python commands. As originally tagged, salary reclassified to income 486K versus expenses 645. And so this is where asking the question starts revealing differences and why you got to take care when you do use data, when you do use AI for data stuff. It said, in this file, I used the type column as the source of truth for income expense split, which is, oh no, but the type is income versus, no, so that's consistent. Okay. So it said, I have used this column type, expense versus income, as the source of truth, even though it's called out that it's wrong when you look at salary. So if we just filter to salary, they're all expenses where you'd like expect that salary should be income. Okay, so it is internally consistent with what it's saying. Good. But the data has like some issues and it flagged them out, whereas ChatGPT work was like, yeah, no, it's fine, man. Here's your dashboard. Go for it. So visual, win for ChatGPT. Logic, win for Claude. And Cowork seems to be able to do a similar set of activities to what Codex can do, just with like a simpler UI and simpler language and less leaning into things like Git diffs. You can even see it in like, you look at the approval flow. So if I click on, in Cowork, it's got manually approve, automatically approve, skip all approvals, right? In code, that same set is manual, accept edits, plan, auto, and bypass permissions. So it's the same set of things that it offers. It's just like using a different, like simpler set of language. Nice. Cool. And it does seem to be building the dashboard in both. So it seems like it can still create web apps, run code, start Node.js servers, edit package JSONs, etc., and then like view them in the web browser. So it's not like we lose any capability using ChatGPT work or Claude Cowork. I think it's made to be more accessible. So it really is like a gateway drug into Codex or Claude Code. Not bad. See where your money is really going. Yes, please. Not bad. Your year in plain English, largest expense category shopping, strongest cash flow September, toughest cash flow month May, and then we get like a clickable table to actually show some of the data. Showing 12 of 3,303 matching transactions in 2021, 2022, 2020. So all in all, if you're technical, there is no point using ChatGPT work or Claude Cowork at all, from what I can see. You can do all the same things and a whole lot more with Codex, and you get it in. You get what it's actually doing under the hood, rather than like an abstraction layer over the top. I feel like for most people, you should aspire to be comfortable working in Codex and Claude code, but you might have to jump through Cowork as like a bridging gap to it, if the language is like uncomfortable for you. That's not bad. I see the mission. I think if you're like purely going to be using like AI locally to take an Excel file, produce a PowerPoint, maybe do some like basic manipulation, or can you just filter this Excel table here or add a tab for this kind of thing, I think it could be totally fine if you're going to be like validating it yourself anyway. I think if you're going to be building like web dashboards or like doing more kind of engineering stuff, I think you should be exposed to the code somewhat and like start building some familiarity with the language, just so that like AI isn't a complete mystery to you under the hood. I reckon that's my interpretation of like these modes. But I don't think you can market like Claude Cowork or ChatGPT work by saying like, use this if you don't understand tech. Like that's not a very good like selling point to say, hey, use this mode. Interesting. Yeah, jury's out on that. But I'm going to stick with my position. I think you should learn code, and I think you should learn tech stuff if you are going to be going deeper and using AI more. And I think everyone should use AI more. I think you should understand it. You should figure out its capabilities. You should see what it can do for you. You should help it. You should use it to help you reach your own personal goals, in addition to using it for like work or, you know, when you're actually like building web apps. If you're not using it to like help organize stuff or, you know, track exercise or help for like, you know, planning things around your life, you're missing out on a bunch of what AI can do. And I think if you're in a technical field, which is going to be a lot of the people from my streams and from Griffin streams, like you are in a really, really, really good position to like make use of all of this tech for all sorts of different purposes. But you got to do it, right? Like you got to sit down and actually use them for different purposes. Use them to help yourself, use them to help others, help friends and family with like small things, especially like being able to create, publish, and share a website for like a particular purpose really quickly in ChatGPT sites, or Claude Code artifacts. I believe you can do the same thing. Like, I think it's a little bit harder in Claude Code artifacts. Actually, I think ChatGPT sites is a little bit more polished. Like if you can create and share a website with somebody really like quickly for like helping a family member with something or explaining something, send them a link here, have a look at this thing. It'll explain how this XYZ works. You can help more people quicker and just verify that the thing you're sharing with them is correct. I think that's pretty powerful. I think it's pretty powerful. And on that note, I think I need to go and have some lunch as well. Griffin's got the right idea. So, I'm gonna wrap up here because I'm gonna need to turn all of this stuff into like shorts content at some point in future as well. And appreciate you all for joining in. If you want to know more like AI engineering stuff and like keep up with like explanations of more on the basics, but I'm happy to like go into depth on especially like data stuff or modeling. We can do like neural net like walkthroughs. Feel free to drop me a follow. But yeah, appreciate all of you. Yes, come back, 5shot. Happy to collab, happy to talk about things and do some like learning streams and help people realize their AI potential. That's my my main agenda for the next couple of months. Appreciate you sticking around and asking heaps of good questions too. I feel like I need to do this. Given I got rated for the first time in my streaming career of 4 days, I feel like I need to do the same. Give this a go. Just learn how to do it. If you need a review for your project, I can be. Please. I mean, like once I've got an AI bot Minecraft server, I feel like you need to come and come and join in and review some AI playing Minecraft. Watch this space. But yes, please feel free to come and hang out with me. I'll be streaming every day around this time, except for the days in which I actually need to catch up on like content editing. Cool. How do I do things? How do I do things? First, I need to figure out how to raid. This is a journey of discovery for me with this streaming business. How to raid in Twitch. If anybody's got hot tips on like what to click for raiding, let me know. Let's find out how to do this. Under quick actions, I see. Okay. So if I add a quick actions view to like here, and then we do save, raid channel. Oh. Who are we gonna raid? Unity sucks. World building. There's a lot of games development stuff. Learning snow/ice in Unreal. What do I find interesting? I guess because this is software and games dev, there's a lot of games dev. I mean, games dev is fun. I feel like Unity stuff is interesting. Chilling after dark, game dev and oh wow, Blender, Godot, coding, doing stuff. Okay, how do I get previews of these things if I want to like listen to them a little bit? Coding a memory allocator from scratch, dude.
But thank you very much for joining the stream. I'm glad you were able to catch it. Yeah, currently we are working
Okay, so
as
you've
always
had
in the
me,
memory
which is
allocator.
like more like beginner
It's
stuff and like
late.
beginner agents and like testing out software.
Wait,
You want
wait.
someone like way more technical? This could be fun.
It's 8 p.m. here. So where you are is 10 hours,
All right, let's do
10
this.
hours difference.
All right, thanks
It
all.
should
Thanks
be
for stream.
18
Come hang out with
and
me in
that should be
future
6 a.m.
if
Right.
you're interested in like kind of like
Was
beginner ADA stuff and like coding agents and going a little bit deeper into what
for
you
me
can
to
do
go to
outside of
bed.
just pure like software
Brother,
development, like games
I
development.
thought you
But I'm
just
sure
had
you've all got
woken
like brilliant
up, and
ideas
that's
yourself.
why
So
you
please come
joined
teach me
the
like more cool
stream.
stuff. Thank you. Have an awesome
What do
day.
you mean? So
Oh, wait, I can't raid. Wait, why can't I raid? Am I not allowed to raid? Interesting. Let me try again. I can't find the same person actually. Damn. Well, apparently I can't raid. Apparently I can't raid that person. So let's do... Let's do some of this. Let's do some elite code practice so that we can all go and
all right,
get jobs at Anthropic. Oh, never mind. I don't think I can raid. I don't know why. Clicking the raid button does not actually work, so I'm going to have to investigate that separately. So I'm going to have to just end stream. Sorry, team. Thanks for putting up with my nonsense. Peace. Take care, all.